The issue of East Texas groundwater bubbles up in Austin. Good evening and thank you for being with us. An East Texas lawmaker chaired a hearing today focused on legislation that would protect our groundwater. KLTV7's JD Conti reports.
The motion unanimously prevails.
In Austin, East Texas water rained again.
It is the only finite resource that we have to survive with.
Representative Cody Harris has filed 4 bills aimed at protecting the Carrizo-Wilcox aquifer. 2 private entities currently want to drill wells in Anderson, Henderson, and Houston counties, pumping water and selling it to other parts of the state.
Based on the science we have today, it looks like those impacts could be very substantial.
Today was focused on 2 pieces of legislation, House Bill 27 and 24. 24 would prohibit water boards from issuing permits if their production would exceed 5% of available water. The district's administration determines how much water is available.
We're looking at a combined withdrawal of over 60,000 acre feet per year from an aquifer that hasn't seen that withdrawal. And so I think that uncertainty, it's not invalid to say we should be concerned.
Only House Bill 27 is on Governor Abbott's special session agenda. It passed committee today and would require a study on how pumping might impact the aquifer.
But in this case, the science we have is limited.
And how much pumping is too much.
So if it's 20,000 acre feet, 30,000 acre feet, it's still a number. We don't know what it is. So we want to find out what that is.
The study would also look at environmental impacts of pumping. While the study is being conducted, the Trinity and Natchez Groundwater Conservation District may not issue new permits that would export water. JD Conti, KLTV 7 News.
And if passed, the study required by House Bill 27 would need to be completed by January 2027.